to the Real Estate Success Podcast, where we unlock the secrets to thriving in the competitive world of real estate. Join us as we interview industry-leading realtors who share their journeys, strategies, and lessons learned on the path to success. Be sure to tune in as we dive into the keys to building and sustaining a profitable real estate business. And now, here is your host, Leland Gross.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Success Podcast. I'm Leland Gross, certified financial planner and the founder of PeaceLink Financial Planning, where we specialize in helping realtors manage their finances and grow their businesses with clarity and confidence. My guest on today's episode is Allison McCarthy. Allison is an inspiring realtor in the Virginia Beach area whose journey into real estate was anything but ordinary. The youngest of 14 children, Allison grew up in a household where real estate was more than just a business. It was the tool her parents used to put every single one of their children through college. Even as a doctor and a nurse, her parents relied on rental properties to create financial stability, teaching her the power of real estate as a means to serve others and build legacy. In this conversation, we dive into how those early lessons shaped her mindset, how she stepped into real estate while raising young kids right before a global pandemic, and how she built a business grounded in faith, authenticity, and the willingness to meet every challenge as an opportunity for growth. We talk about overcoming burnout, building a business with integrity, the importance of coaching, and how success for Allison isn't defined by volume or awards, but by living with unshakable peace and serving her neighbors well. So whether you're navigating tough market cycles or just looking for a dose of grounded inspiration, this episode is packed with wisdom. And with that introduction, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Real Estate Success Podcast with Allison McCarthy. All right, welcome Allison to the Real Estate Success Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
I'm a realtor and live here in Virginia Beach. I'm a transplant like a lot of other people in the area, but I've been here since 2007. I met my husband. We have 2 kids and we live in the neighborhood that he grew up in. So it's fun.
Really? I didn't know that. Yeah. That's fun. Tell the listeners, I'm excited for your story in real estate, but tell them kind of how did you get into real estate? Was it in 2007? Because that's not a great time to get into real estate.
No, I really grew up around it. Well, everybody does. But, my family, my father and mother had real estate. The neighbors' houses were all rentals that my parents owned. I think I told you earlier, I'm the youngest of 14 kids.
She was going to tell me this live on the episode, and I thought that was, I'm glad she didn't, because I think my jaw hit the ground. I think I'm still going to be in therapy wondering how 14 kids worked.
So, yeah, and to add to that, my parents were both in the medical field. My dad was a doctor, my mom was a nurse. And their story was a lot to do with real estate in service to other people, and then using real estate to really put 14 kids through college. That was a big part of how they did it.
What did that look like? How did they use real estate to put 14 kids through college?
Rentals. Yeah. My father was a doctor, but was paid in like potatoes and tomatoes a lot of times. So, in our conversations, he would stress a lot about how, you have to create a plan and always be in service, like I said, to other people. And he was just able to, when he could, purchase one at a time. And I would love to say probably purchase one with each child, But yeah, that was rental income was a big part of being able to do that.
I mean, putting any child through higher education is a feat, much less 14 of them. And I think it speaks to the power of passive income, real estate as an investment as a whole, which creates income and equity along the way. And so it sounds like your parents were very wise with their resources from the medical field, but kind of taking that and purchasing other assets that made money that, people don't pay rent in tomatoes and potatoes. So that's good.
Absolutely. I mean, I think someone tried, but.
Okay. So you are kind of growing up around it. You've got 13 other brothers and sisters, but your parents have, all the neighbors, they own the houses. Your neighbors are renting from you guys. And that's kind of giving you a vision for real estate. How did that transition? And when did that transition to, okay, I'm going to work in real estate myself?
When I started my own family. Quickly, you start having kids and see things lining up along the way. I'm seeing braces, I'm seeing weddings, I'm seeing college tuition, all the things. And I was like, how am I going to make what I have grow, to be able to take care of them. And first thing to leverage was my brain, and then go, yeah, I was like, we should probably invest in real estate. And I'm just the type of person that if I'm going to do that, I want to know all of it. So becoming a realtor was a natural progression.
So you're seeing your kids and you're thinking, this is a way that my parents really blessed our family. I want to invest in it. But as opposed to just investing in it, I'm going to get licensed and I'm going to become a realtor and I'm going to learn all aspects of real estate.
Yeah.
Okay. And jumping into real estate, just the world of self-employment, that's a big transition for most people. That's kind of a scary, I've got to pay my own taxes. And so a lot of times people don't do it because of the fear of the unknown when it comes to entrepreneurship. But was that a player at all in the factors of, if I'm going to become a realtor, that's a lot more than just purchasing my own rental property. What was that thought process like for you and your family?
Well, I think I told you earlier, fear is not a thing for me. Challenges are, but I think that challenges present opportunities. And I think that I was willing to bet on myself. Not knowing is not a reason to not move forward. You know what I mean? So kind of trusting that I could get what I needed along the way. So we're all kind of in the dark, you know what I mean, in some aspect. But I've been blessed with finding the people along the way who can help me with the goals I have in mind.
Yeah, we talked a lot before in the pre-show about, getting the right people in the seats on the bus to kind of help us, whether it's someone, freeing up my time, whether it's, a mentor or a coach, but just having the people on the bus with you makes the bus go ride smoother, faster, and better all around.
Yes.
Okay, so you have your own kids. You decide to jump into real estate. When was that?
I got licensed in 2019. So I had a 2 and a 3-year-old.
And then a pandemic hit.
Yeah. Yep. Fear is not a thing for me. I actually enjoy challenges. Call me crazy, but I enjoy what can be learned from those challenges. So, that obviously the COVID kind of took everybody into a position of analyzing what matters and how are we going to survive. And I think a lot of people saw real estate as an opportunity for creating stability. I like to tell people, I'm like, all the wars in the world have been fought over real estate. I mean, that's true, over land, right? And so that really kind of proved the point. Everybody raced to land. That was a part of how my parents allowed us to go to college. It is allowed the land of opportunity. The opportunity is in the land. It just drove that point home. And of course, I was, I benefited from that because I happened to be in the business. So it was great.
Yeah, it kind of gave you the opportunity to help people benefit from the land.
Yes.
And then make it mutually beneficial.
Yes.
So 2019, you get licensed, day one. What did it look like to try and go get clients? I mean, I feel like that's kind of in the early days, that's the biggest question is like, how do I get leads? How do I build this business? Like, all right, I've made the decision. We're going to get into real estate. I'm licensed. I'm running forward. Day one, who's out there that's going to let me buy or sell their house?
Sure. I'm a couple of things. I'm all about education. And so I've always had a coach. So day one, I had a coach. I was listening to a coaching podcast ahead of time who always emphasized don't buy leads, prospect. And so I learned how to prospect. But prospecting only goes so far. You have to be authentic and honest. And so, being able to admit sometimes, well, I don't know the answer to that, but let me go find out. And I think people could appreciate that honesty and transparency in understanding that at the bottom of my service and the baseline of my service was integrity.
I think that's really important and powerful, mostly because I think people getting into any field feel the imposter syndrome of, I need to know everything. I need to put on the face that I'm an expert. I can't show weakness. And I don't actually think that people want that. I think people want authenticity and integrity and, in that, a willingness to work hard to figure out the answer. I felt similar in my field is you jump in, you just can't know everything about everything in any field, whether it's medicine, whether it's real estate, whether it's finance, but you can commit to outworking other people and saying, hey, I don't know that, but I'm going to get an answer. I'm going to go figure it out and come back to you. And I think people really respect that. And when we can free ourselves from the need to be perfect or the need to uh, have that Superman facade on that's just not real, I think it actually opens you up to A, more profitability, and B, um, the richness of relationship with your clients too, because people can relate to that more than the Superman, you know?
Agreed, 100%. I think that I think we talked again earlier about the importance of community, and yeah, just kind of one of the beautiful parts of building community and networking is to see how we can help one another, and that's
Mm.
been a huge part of my success, I think.
I am struck by your relatively quick jump into a very, very successful real estate business, but also in that amidst some pretty volatile market cycles, I feel like there was a decade where you could just kind of have your rhythm and make good money in real estate. And then, 2020, 2021 happened. I mean, in 2020, it was, will realtors even be able to work? And then they were. And then, with low pricing and interest rates, lots of people were rushing to land. But then the opposite happened. Everything inflated in price and increased in interest rates. And there were a lot of agents in 22, 23, even 24 who really struggled because the market had low inventory. People didn't want to pay for as expensive of a house or with the interest rates. What was that for you? What was that like for you? Kind of being in years 3 and 4 of the business, how did you navigate that?
Again, I think it goes back to challenge as opportunity to learn new ways. So that kind of is really my answer. Okay, so what is changing?
Mm-hmm.
I want to change with it. I'm going to learn.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the nimbleness of it, of, hey, I think my church says all the time, like the 7 deadly words are, we've never done it that way before. And kind of just stopping yourself from growth and progression because, well, that's just not how we've done it. As opposed to having a growth mindset that says, well, great, the market is different. How do I adapt to this? Where do you think I'm hearing you say, there's this resolve of like, I'm not afraid and it's just a challenge and I'm going to overcome the challenge and I'm willing to lean in and learn. Where does that come from in you?
It's my faith for sure. Yeah. So I grew up in a Christian household, and so that was always there. But to be honest, actually, in the past few years, about 3 years, so right when the market started to have a little bit of a cooling effect, actually, I got into Bible study, and that really kind of reinforced the integrity and authenticity and the perspective of, if God is for me, who can be against me? So the market trends don't make me waffle.
I love that. In Advent, there's a verse that my wife and I were looking at that says, don't be anxious about anything, but in everything, through prayer and supplication with thankfulness, make your request known to the Lord, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. And
Amen.
I've just been meditating on that for this idea that like lots of things can cause it. I mean, you just open the news app and you're like, well, just anxiety's flying off the page at me, business, real estate cycles, whatever it is. But can I be grounded in the Lord? Can I bring that to him and sort of cast that on him? And this peace that may not be it's very reasonable to be overwhelmed in a cooling market cycle. Like some of these things where it's, that makes sense, but there's a peace that's beyond understanding. That's, doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But to have, and then you can say, great, now I can move forward in this, with this peace, with this, confidence that, I'm out here trying to build the house, but unless he builds the house, I'm just laboring in vain.
Absolutely. I always kind of just consider myself the vessel, whether it be through real estate or whatever I'm doing. I want to put things through the filter of the Lord for, you know what I mean? What does God want for me to be doing in this situation? Is this of God or not? I have 2 choices. That's really what it boils down to, faith or fear. And so, that's the challenge. Which one am I going to choose?
It's amazing. You mentioned early on that, day one, you had a coach. And in the pre-show, you mentioned, you've had a few coaches for different problems that you're solving along the way. But I find a lot of people kind of go one way or another. They're either going to jump into coaching and get the benefit, but it costs money, or they don't because it costs money. And so I'm a big proponent of coaching that has been instrumental in my business and in my personal life. But for you, like, tell me about the experience of that. Why coaching, and, how has that impacted your business? Would it be something you would recommend to other agents to put the investment in?
It's funny because people will come up to me all the time. Hey, I'm getting my license, or my son or daughter's getting their license. Can you take some time and speak to them? And number one, I'm honored that somebody would even come to me and ask me that. But my first thing out of my mouth is get a mentor, get a coach.
Quick pause. Hey, realtors, if you're earning great commissions, but worried you might be missing something financially, we built a tool just for you. It's our free 2-minute real estate financial health assessment. Don't wait until tax season exposes your financial gaps. In just a couple minutes, you'll see exactly what's strong in your business, where money might be slipping through the cracks, and what to fix before your next closing. Most agents have blind spots they never even think to check. You don't have to be one of them. Just head to realestatesuccesspod.com and get your personalized score and insights in 2 minutes or less. All right, back to the episode.
So it's understanding, and we already spoke to it, the humble fact that I don't know anything. I'm sorry, I do know some things, but I don't know everything.
That's very humble.
So let me take. Well, that's kind of true too, right? Because what did Einstein say? That we know like the pinpoint of of what there is to know. It's the tip of the iceberg. That is the truth. If you kind of go into everything looking that way, and then you become really open to your surroundings and being able to digest that broad perspective. I am very broad perspective type of person, but that coaching aspect of it has helped me dial it in. And that's what I need help with, is dialing it in sometimes to certain areas that are going to propel me forward. And it can only be one step at a time. Like, even just this past week, my coach said to me, she's like, Allison, you've got a lot of things going on. We just need to go one issue at a time. Let's do this one first. And that's really helpful for me. So yeah, my first coach was all about prospecting. The other one was to kind of, after that, was to help get me through without, getting sued or causing people to be in situations that they don't want to be in, and then this person that I work with now, she does all of the above, but she's also helping me to break out of my own mindset. That's a big part of it, to help scale the business and ultimately serve my neighbors better.
Yeah. I feel similarly. My coach, I'll come to her and be like, here's the 800 things on my plate, because that's just self-employment. You're like, yes, I'm a realtor. I'm also an accountant and a therapist and, chaos coordinator and a negotiator. There's 100 things, a marketer. I need to know social media. What is that? And so that's just entrepreneurship. But to have a coach who says like, great, what is the vision? What's your mindset coming into this? What are you hoping for? And then, hey, here's the action steps. If we're going to go from A to B, how do we do that well? And what are the areas of your business you need to be focusing on? You've got 5 fires. Let's take this one and put it out and get it cleaned up and then move to the next one. And I just feel like it is so helpful because we're all sort of operating in a silo. We're all like, trying to do our best to serve the people we get to serve, but to have someone else who can partner with that in you, or partner with you in that and go forward, is really powerful.
Well, we're all working in a partnership, whether we realize it or not. So it's better to acknowledge it and then, work with it.
Totally. So yeah, I've always been a big proponent of coaching. My wife used to work for a marriage coach, so that was instrumental for us, but then also business coaching, just having wiser, more experienced people helping you along the way is so helpful. So you mentioned serving your neighbors. I know that that's a big focus for you. Would you say that's kind of the main people you serve is the people around you, or what does that look like as far as kind of growing your niche or your focus or your brand?
Yeah. Well, it kind of boils down to my why. I want to serve the Lord first, and in that be also a good wife, a good mom, and a good neighbor. So all the relationships in serving the Lord boils down to serving the Lord first. And then, and then the second, of course, is being able to treat my neighbors the way I want to be treated. So it's just that. It really is. I can't give you a really complex answer because it's just that.
I love it.
So
Sometimes simple is better. And if that's the true answer, then like that's what we go with is, hey, I'm serving the Lord and I'm serving my neighbors, and that's how that's working out.
And I don't take another good book. I don't know if you've ever read it, is The Four Agreements. Yeah, it's good. It is good. It's not Christian based, but it's pretty good. It's pretty, gosh, what are the four tenets in there? Well, one of the four tenets in there is to don't take things personally. So when something doesn't work out the way you hoped or planned, it's okay. It's not a personal thing. So that way it doesn't steal your peace. That having that peace, I think, is influential when you're speaking with whoever it is, right? Like just understanding that kind of shines through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. I love it. Okay, so I would love to know, when it comes to this whole journey from, I'm one of 14 kids, and real estate really impacted my parents' ability to bless us. I want to carry that forward to my kids and now my neighbors and my community. I'm jumping in 2 feet, no fear, going through some of the most dramatic market cycles. What has surprised you the most about your journey with real estate?
Being able to actually witness the miracles that come with real estate. And, somebody comes to me asking for a particular outcome, or they have a particular problem. I'm humbled by, number one, somebody coming to me, but then it's not me, right? It's what's working through me, again, that vessel. And then being able to witness, it's a miracle to be able to get to the finish line, and then kind of, it's like sending a bird out from the nest. You know what I mean? It's beautiful. There are days where I want to quit because I'm exhausted or burnout feeling or whatever it is. That's kind of like the meter of, am I taking on more than I'm called to? Am I working from an ego perspective? I think that's actually the bottom line, is how it has forced me to pay attention to how I am being in what I've been asked to do. How am I doing? How am I showing up? It's forced me to really reflect. Yeah.
I love that. And I think it's very fair and beautiful of like, one of the things that strikes me about you, Allison, is just like your raw humility of, I'm just a vessel here. And so along that journey, it's hard, but it's also humbling and it's beautiful. It's a miracle, like helping these people get to, the American dream, which is owning a home. And it's a key piece of building wealth for these people. It's generational. It's, very, very powerful. And I love just your heart in that.
Thank you.
What would you say has been a low point for you?
The burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah, the burnout. The questioning sometimes. Again, it's not low point because I don't really look at things through that kind of a lens. It's the challenge. And the challenge has been, probably the biggest challenge has been when I've felt burnt out. But then the opportunities that come with that challenge is what keeps me hopeful. There is opportunity in learning about that experience, right? That's what requires that self-reflection and going back to that foundation of why.
Yeah, I love it. I love the framing of that too, of like, a low point is just a challenge. It's just a challenge, and it's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to grow. It's almost like an invitation to be uncomfortable, which being uncomfortable is the best way to grow. And so, I really love that. So this is a podcast about success. But if you ask anybody on the street, how do you define success? That word means different things to different people. You'll get an answer that's different from everyone. So for you, how do you define success?
I think I don't mean to make this all about about Christian faith, but I think it really kind of boils down to that for me, is if I can help people come closer to the Lord somehow, some way. Doesn't necessarily have to be through, I'm not necessarily out to convert people, but be an ambassador and create that invitation. I mean, it's just, it's just real estate. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah.
Like, if my job was to sweep floors, and sometimes that is my job, it's to do it with a smile. That's success to me.
To just be faithful and in the little details and kind of be that vessel.
To have an unshakable peace. That's
Mhm.
success to me.
Yeah. I love that phrase. You've got a lot of really great authentic one-liners. I don't feel like they're like rehearsed, but just to have an unshakable peace, like says, no matter what your circumstances are, like that's not a definition that's defined by once I sell 20 million in a year or once I get to this or this achievement. The definition of success being an unshakable peace is, that can be right now. That can be, and it's a goal to be achieved every day. It's like I wake up today and I'm working towards that. And even throughout the day, you're like, I had an unshakable peace at 8 a.m. 10:30. I need that like it's something that can be kind of constantly pursued and then achieved daily versus, in 10 years when I achieve this, which in my experience, I've asked a lot of people that question. When it's a goal line goal, you're going to get there and the goal line's now pushed back.
Yeah.
But when it's an internal goal, like peace, contentment, joy, that's something you can have no matter what your circumstances are.
What is the saying? So I have I have a yoga certification. And I think that one of the sayings was I used to say that when I find balance, I'll be at peace. But now I say when I'm at peace, I will find balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's peace first, and peace comes through that foundation of knowing that this is just temporary. It's all temporary.
Mm-hmm.
It's all temporary. So it's how am I being in this temporary time? That's what matters, right?
Which is so, yeah. I love that balance, peace, balance. Because it's like I'm taking agency over my internal world. Like we always think or we sort of live externally in. Once I have more money, once I find balance in my time, once my calendar looks a certain way, then I will feel better internally. And really it's the opposite. We need to live an inside out life that says I have peace, I have hope, I've got the freedom, and let that flow out into what I'm doing in the world. Which then says, I'm not tossed by the waves of circumstance.
Amen. Because otherwise, if you're paying attention to every headline, you will be rocked off your feet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we see it in finance, we see it all the time. It's like you open the news and it's like, the markets are tanking, inflation's horrible, the economy's crushing, we're in the worst place ever. You're like, I don't know, we hit an all-time high last week, so I feel like we're doing pretty good. But if that's where I tie my okayness to, I'm going to drive myself crazy. I'm going to drive myself into cardiac arrest. And so it's like, I have to have an unshakable peace that's not based on any circumstance around me, but it's based truly in something bigger than myself and something inside myself to be able to really, move forward.
There's a good Viktor Frankl. You know Viktor Frankl?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Viktor Frankl.
What was his book? I can't think of it. But he has a line. It's something to the effect of, there's a space that exists between stimulus and response. And in that space you're given a choice. And that choice is how you want to show up. That's your freedom. That was written by somebody. Viktor Frankl was in Auschwitz.
Wow.
Think about that. It's coming from somebody where their life was on the line. All of ours are.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's making it out alive.
Yeah.
Relax. We're on a ball floating in space. Calm down. You don't have control over everything.
Oh, that is
so how are you going to handle this magic carpet ride? You know what I mean? How are you going to be? Just enjoy the ride.
That is amazing. The idea of you are in legitimately the worst human circumstance of all time. And that's your stimulus. Your stimulus is you are in
your life
Auschwitz.
Your life is on the
line.
stake.
And and it's not looking good. And your response is, between stimulus and response, there's a choice of how I'm going to respond. And that is my truth. Like, that gives me chills. That is my nugget for the next 6 months of my life.
Good. It's a good one.
Well, Allison, I just appreciate your humility, your hard work, and your just faithful fortitude to, embracing challenges, living with peace. I really appreciate the wisdom you've shared today. And I think a lot of people will, respond well to that. And so I just appreciate you being here today.
Well, I thank you a lot. And I think honest feedback. Today's my first day meeting you in person. And your title for this company, PeaceLink, is very appropriate. I feel very comfortable knowing that you're doing the work on your end for really working through authenticity and integrity as well. So it gives me a lot of peace. Earlier before this, we had a meeting about, my personal financial plans. And so, that gives me a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Aside from peace, because that's coming up a lot.
Confidence. Hope.
Yeah, confidence is the word. Thank you very much. Yeah. I really try to choose people that are doing the work behind the scenes to work through that integrity and bigger picture of their why. And I can tell that you're doing that. So
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Well, we're going to have you back on in 5 years to see where this takes us. I'm confident it's going to be more peaceful and more successful.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today.
Yeah. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Success Podcast. Before you go, a quick reminder. This podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended as tax, legal, or investment advice. The opinions shared by me or any of my guests are just that, their opinions. So if you're thinking about applying anything from today's episode to your life or business, I encourage you to consult a qualified professional who understands your unique situation and goals. If you want to take the next steps, check out the links in the show notes or go to realestatesuccesspod.com to complete our 2-minute financial health assessment. Or you can book a free call with us at PeaceLink Financial Planning, or just get in touch. We would love to hear from you. Now, go forth, forge your path, and prosper.